Morning, everyone. Today, since it's May and the month of Mary, we decided that we would talk about our native Aztec princess. Here she is, Our Lady of Guadalupe, right here in the vestibule of our church. A beautiful canvas painting, one of Father Cleo's most favored. Now here's the story behind this. In 1531, a local Indian and peasant, Juan Diego, was walking down a mountain trail in Mexico. All of a sudden, appearing before him on the trail was a beautiful lady. Now, Juan was a recent convert to Catholicism, and he immediately recognized this lady as the Virgin Mary. She appeared to him dressed in clothing that would represent her as a princess in the Aztec tribe, Juan being a native Aztec. So Juan was nervous initially, and Our Lady spoke to him in a calming voice, as Juan described her voice like the singing of small birds. Mary told Juan that she wanted him to do a mission for her. And the mission was that he was supposed to go to the local bishop, who at that time was the Archbishop of Mexico City, and tell the Archbishop that Mary wanted a temple built there so that the local people would have a place to present their petitions to Jesus and to help with the healing of those suffering in that area. So Juan went to the bishop and spoke to him and said that the Blessed Lady had appeared and wanted a temple built. Well, the bishop's just not going to build a temple because some local peasant Indian has come in and said he's seen the Blessed Lady. So the bishop says no and dismisses Juan. Juan goes back up the mountain trail, and the Blessed Lady appears to him a second time. And she says, Juan, don't be discouraged. Go back and see the bishop again. So Juan returns to the bishop with the same request. The bishop looks at Juan and he thinks maybe Juan might be a tad unstable. So he tells Juan that, look, you bring me back some kind of miraculous sign and we'll talk about it. So Juan heads back, and he figures he would go see the Blessed Lady on the trail the next day. In the meantime, Juan finds out that his uncle is very ill. He goes to see his uncle, and in that process, he realizes that his uncle is near death. So instead of going to see the Blessed Lady the next day, Juan decides, I don't have time to see Mary right now. I've got to get a priest for my uncle. So he takes another trail. Well, going down that other trail, all of a sudden, who appears? The Blessed Lady. And she sort of chastises Juan a little bit by saying, Juan, I'm your mother. And so Juan receives this message from Mary. She says to him, I want you to go up on the top of the mountain. Now bear in mind, it's winter. Go up on the top of the mountain and pick all of the roses that are there and place them in your tilma. And do not open it until you see the bishop. Well, naturally, Juan is going to challenge the Blessed Lady on this. He says, well, Mary, there won't be any roses up there because it's winter time. And Mary says, Juan, just go up there. They're going to be there. So Juan goes up on top of the mountain, and sure enough, there's a whole bunch of Castilian roses there. Amazingly, these roses don't even grow there. They grow in Spain. So Juan gathers up all the roses like Mary has instructed, places them into his cactus-woven tilma, and carries them to the Archbishop. So when he gets before the Archbishop, there are other people there as well. And Juan opens up his tilma, and the roses fall out onto the floor. And lo and behold, on the tilma is a picture of the Blessed Lady. Now, it looks like a painting, but it's really not a painting. You see the Blessed Lady appears within the fabric of the tilma. And so the bishop and all of those present were totally amazed. Now, in the meantime, the Blessed Lady visited Juan's uncle. She understood Juan's concern. She healed Juan's uncle through her son Jesus, and Juan was advised of that. And during that meeting, the Blessed Lady told Juan's uncle that she wanted to be known as Santa Maria Guadalupe. Well, Juan's uncle also met with the Archbishop and told him about the visit from Our Lady. Now, that's kind of the background of the Our Lady of Guadalupe apparition. Now, I want to tell you a little about our beautiful canvas here so that you understand it a little bit more clearly. First of all, Our Lady appears here as she did, for the most part, before Juan. Now, if you go to Revelation 12, 1-2, this is referenced in there. So first of all, if you notice on our canvas, the white area around Our Lady is supposed to represent heaven. And the golden rays coming off of her represent the sun from heaven shining upon her, because she is glorious in the eyes of Jesus. Now, everything in this painting represents something very significant to those local people that live there, those Indians. First of all, the Blessed Lady appears very dark-skinned, as an Aztec princess would. The other thing is that she's wearing this outer veil or mantle, this blue and greenish colored mantle with stars. Very, very symbolic. Only an Aztec princess would wear anything like this, and Juan would have known that when he saw her on the trail. So that's very, very symbolic. Also, the undergarment here is a rose color. May not quite look that way in the video, but it's intended to be a rose color, which also represents queenship as well. Mary has kind of a scapular around her neck, which represents the fact that she follows the Catholic Spanish missionaries in that area. And here there is a bow tied around her wrist, a black one, which represents she's with child. Now, once again, all of the local people at that time would have recognized all of these things in the analogies that go with them. Very, very symbolic. If you notice here, the Blessed Lady is being held up by an angel with wings. This means that this angel with eagle's wings are intended to be at Mary's beck and call. He's holding the Blessed Lady up because she is pleasing to God. And she is also standing. Now, the children think that this is a bull's horn here, but this is actually a crescent moon. So she's standing on a crescent moon, being held up by the angel, which means birth and life. So this is primarily the main symbolism in this. Now, here's the rest of the story. This tilma was made out of a material that should not last more than, some people say 10 years, others say a little longer than that. Some say up to 30, but somewhere in that neighborhood, and then it falls apart. It's a very poorly constructed type of material. That was in 1531. The tilma remains. The tilma was hung in the church that was later built there, the basilica, and it was on a wall exposed for all to see and venerate. Well, in the 1700s, a local worker was cleaning around the tilma and actually spilled some nitric acid on the tilma, and it ate a big chunk of it out of the tilma. Over the next 30 days, the tilma regenerated itself, so that each morning more of the tilma was now showing again. Totally unable to explain that. Over the years, many scientists have examined the tilma. In 1921, a radical cleric placed a huge cache of dynamite in the basilica right under the tilma, and it was detonated. When they went in to check to see the damage, the tilma remained. The tilma is now in a protective enclosure up real high where when you enter the basilica, it's easily seen. So it's now protected from these types of things. As I said, many scientists have examined this. The eyes of Mary in the original tilma under 2500 magnification reflect the pictures, or the faces rather, of everyone that was present when the roses fell out of the tilma and the image was displayed. So all of the faces of those present are displayed in Mary's eyes. The tilma is, it's also been checked to see how it appears, or rather the image has been checked to see how it appears on the tilma garment. It's not painted, there are no brush strokes. It is part of the garment. It's not on the garment, it is part of the garment. So very, very unusual. None of that has ever been able to be explained scientifically. It is just there. It's a magnificent work. Our Lady appears, in the 20th century, Our Lady has appeared almost 400 times around the world. She appears all the time. Those of you that are familiar with Medjugorje, which I've been fortunate enough to go, know that she has been appearing there regularly since the 1980s. There's been famous appearances. We all know of Lourdes, Miraculous Medal, Fatima, Medjugorje, Guadalupe, but Guadalupe, Mary left behind something for all of us to venerate, something of hers. So very, very significant. So I challenge you to say prayers to the Blessed Lady this month, since it is the month of Mary. And we have Our Lady of Mercy Church here, and we're fortunate to have a beautiful painting here of Our Lady of Guadalupe in our vestibule. So the next time you're here at Our Lady of Mercy, come in and take a look at the painting, and now you know the rest of the story. Now you know a little bit more about what you've been looking at. I really appreciate you looking in today on this other Behind the Veil segment. It's a real pleasure doing these for you. I hope you and your family are safe and remain safe. Thank you very much.